Hey, what's up, guys? It's Angelo Santelski. I'm giving you these UFC 276 Adesanya versus Cannonier full card predictions. I'm giving you these predictions 2 weeks out, or 13 days out now. And, pretty good card, guys. I mean, obviously, the top two title fights are what makes the card, in my opinion, but it has a pretty solid undercard. Normally, the July pay-per-view every year is a pretty stacked card. It's normally International Fighter Week or International Fight Week. So the July cards I always look forward to because they're always stacked, you know. So let's move into the first fight of the night. Jessica Rose Clark against Julika Stoliarenko. And, you know, I backed Julika a couple times in 3 of her UFC fights, and she's failed to win multiple times for me, so definitely off that train. She's a efficient armbar finisher, and it's kind of funny because Jessica Rose Clark got finished via armbar in her last fight, so she lost to Stephanie Egger by armbar, but she has a couple solid wins too over Jocelyn Edwards. We've seen how good Edwards kind of is recently, and you know, Sarah Alpar is no longer with the organization, I believe. But you know, like I said, this is a pick'em fight, I believe. Yeah, minus 120 Clark. I'm gonna side with Clark here, man. I just think maybe she does enough, avoids putting an armbar, and just picks up a lackluster decision here. Brad Tavares against Dricus Du Plessis. I'm going to side with Du Plessis here, man. He's the younger man. He's the younger man here. More action-oriented fighter here, man. Tavares, he hasn't fought in a year. He hasn't fought since last July. He's quietly on a 2-fight win streak over 2 guys that are no longer with the UFC. They're in the PFL now. And Dricus Du Plessis, he knocked out former middleweight Trevin Giles, who's moved down to welterweight since, and like I said, he doesn't have anybody of, I don't know, I just think there's a little more hype on this guy. His style is not energy efficient, and he leaves himself over to being countered a lot just because he's always going for all these flying movements and whatnot. But I'm gonna side with Du Plessis here, man. I'm gonna say he gets a knockout on Tavares in the first round, but like I said, any decision's not going to surprise me here. Next up, Jim Miller against Bobby Green. Like I said, this is kind of a step-down fight for Bobby Green, in my opinion. You know, he's coming off that loss to Islam Makhachev in February. Nice win over Nasrat before that. He really pieced him up. Beat Elia Quinta before that. Finished him. So Bobby Green's looked pretty good, man. No shame in his losses to Islam or Fiziev. No shame in any of that. Like I said, Bobby's getting up there. He's 35, 71-inch reach, 5'10". Jim Miller, this guy, he continues to fight on. 38 years old, 71-inch reach on a 2-fight win streak. Knockout wins over Ramada and Gonzalez. I don't think he's going to do that against Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green picks up a unanimous decision win. Uriah Hall against Andre Muniz. Hall hasn't fought since he lost to Strickland a year ago. And, yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say I had money on the guy in that fight. As a plus 168 dog, I believe. Lost that. Muniz, this guy's on an absolute tear, man. I love everything about this guy. He retired Jacare, beat Eric Anders by finish. Bartosz Fabinski, who's no easy out himself. This guy's really impressive, man. I'm really impressed with this guy. And I'm going to say that the train keeps rolling here, man. I don't think Uriah Hall is going to derail the train. I think Uriah Hall still has some fight left in him, man. I think he's a decent gatekeeper to the top 15. But Uriah Hall, or Andre Muniz, I think is going to submit him here, man. Let's take a look at the middleweight rankings real quick. Muniz is 13, Hall is 9. So I think we're going to see Andre Muniz break into the top 10 after this fight. Next Next up, Ian Gary against Gabe Green. I'm just not buying the hype yet on Ian Gary, guys. You know, he's got 2 UFC wins over Darren Weeks and Jordan Williams. They're trying to groom him. Irish fighter, welterweight. Gabe Green's no easy out for anybody, man. I'm going to side with Gabe Green here. This guy throws a lot of volume. He's very well-rounded. And I just like what this guy's doing, man. You know, he's had 3 tough fights in the UFC, and he's won 2 out of 3 of them, man. The UFC has not given this guy any easy path, and this guy's good, man. This guy is good, man. I like Gabe Green here for the decision. Jessica I against Macy Barber. Jessica I think she's training back in Ohio now after her UFC's tried to help this girl out numerous times. I mean, by setting her up with fights, and I think they finally abandoned her now. They're putting her up against the prospect Macy Barber, who I think the UFC think Macy Barber's back in their graces now. But they were matching Macy Barber up with some tough fights for a minute. But Macy Barber's passed the test. And now she's back in the good graces, and she's getting a favorable matchup here. She's only 24 years old. 2-fight win streak. And I'm going to say she keeps the train rolling here, picking up unanimous decision win over Jessica I. Robbie Lawler against Barbarina. It's kind of a pick-em fight here. I'm leaning Barbarina, man. I'm not buying the rejuvenated Robbie Lawler hype that he displayed against Nick Diaz. We know Nick Diaz is a shell of himself, and Robbie Lawler was hurt by some of those punches as well. Barbarina was in an absolute war with Matt Brown. We saw how that went. He deserved the win, I believe. Beat Darren Weeks prior to that. This guy's a gamer, man. Hopefully his injuries are in the past, and he's been training. I think he just got a new UFC contract, so hey, I'm going to go with the younger guy here. Throws more volume, a little more resilient. I'm going to side with Barbarina here by decision. Brad Riddell against Jalen Turner. I really like what I see in Jalen Turner, man. This guy is huge for the division. Absolute specimen. 4-fight win streak. And I'm going to say he keeps it going here, man. This is a stiff test to Riddell, who's coming off a loss to Fiziev. But he looked a step behind Fiziev the whole fight. And I'm going to side with Jalen Turner here, man. I'm going to say Jalen Turner finally breaks into he finally breaks into the top 15 here. And takes Riddell's spot. Pedro Munoz against Sean O'Malley. Well, finally Sean O'Malley is advancing in the competition he is fighting. And I like Sean O'Malley to get the job done here, man. Pedro Munoz is no easy out by any stretch. But I think Sean O'Malley has the tools to get by him here. But Pedro Munoz is a dangerous dude. Don't let this guy fool you. He's been in a lot of wars. He's fought a who's who. And I'm going to side with Sean O'Malley here to pick up the win. Miesha Tate against Lauren Murphy. This is another fight where I'm just not believing the hype on Miesha Tate. She loses to Ketlin Vieira at 135. Now she's in a fight at 125 for, I think, the first time in her life. In her 30s. I'm just not buying the hype, guys. Lauren Murphy, again, another woman I'm not sold on. She just competed against Valentina Shevchenko for the belt. So, there could be post-title fight blues here, but I just think Lauren Murphy, she's more established at fighting at this weight class. She might be motivated by the fact that she can get a nice win over a name brand and Miesha Tate. I'm just going to side with Murphy here as a plus 140 dog. I just cannot buy that hype on Miesha Tate anymore. Sean Strickland against Alex Pereira. Great fight, guys. We know Alex Pereira has defeated Israel Adesanya in 2 kickboxing fights, I believe. He's got a couple nice wins in the UFC. He's been super active. I'm going to side with Sean Strickland here, man. See this being kind of a close fight, but Sean Strickland, guy's good, man. You got to be elite to beat this guy. He's developed a really good style where he's gonna march you down, man. And he's got a nice win over Jack Hermanson. Shouldn't have been a split. Over Hall, Jocko. This guy's handling business, man. And he's all about fighting. So was Alex Pereira. When they announced this fight, I was leaning Pereira, but you know what? I'm gonna side with Sean Strickland here, man. Alexander Volkanovski against Max Holloway 3. I'm gonna go with the Blessed Express here, man. We're seeing the current odds. We're seeing the current odds at -185 Volk, +160 Holloway. I hope the fanboys continue to come in on Volk here, man, and push that lineup closer to fight. I would like to get Holloway around +200 if I could. Don't know if it'll reach there. This is going to be a close fight, guys. I think these guys fight. All their fights are going to be really close. Volkanovski gets past Holloway here, man, and we may never ever see a threat to him again at featherweight unless he vacates the belt. You know, or just gets so old that, you know, his body can't, you know, like I said, every champion will eventually lose their belt. It's just by how. Will they forfeit it, retire, move up in weight, whatever. You know, they will eventually lose their belt. But Alexander Volkanovski, man, it feels like this guy is just evolving every time out. Destroyed the Korean Zombie in his last fight. Handled Brian Ortega accordingly. Beat Max Holloway twice prior. Aldo Mendez. This guy's fought a who's who at featherweight, man. And he's, I mean, how can't you love this guy, man? Max blessed Express Holloway, man. Thought this guy was the future of the featherweight division until he ran into Volkanovski in late 2019. This guy was looking really good, man. This guy was looking really good. Hopefully his family life hasn't taken away from him training. This guy's an absolute GOAT at featherweight, man. Like I said, in the mid 2010s, this guy was just surging through everybody, man. I mean, he even has a win over Charles Oliveira in a weird fight. I'll never forget when he first got that Aldo fight, and he took Aldo's belt, beat Aldo again. Ortega moved up to lightweight to fight Poirier, lost, beat Edgar, and then ran into Volkanovski. But he's handled two featherweight competitors after Volkanovski accordingly. And you kind of wonder how he comes back from 2 straight losses to Volk. Well, he showed it. Absolutely destroyed Cater and beat Yair Rodriguez in a tough fight. I'm going to side with Holloway here based off the odds, man. Not that I don't like Volk, but when I'm getting underdog odds on a worthy title contender, I'm going to take him, man. So I'm going to say Holloway shakes up the division once again and reclaims the belt. Adesanya against Cannonier. I think Adesanya is about a 3.5 to 1 favorite. I believe he absolutely deserves it, man. I'm just not high on Jared Cannonier anymore. I used to be high on this guy. I used to think he might possibly pose a threat, but I just don't really feel that anymore. He's a good fighter. He's got some solid wins. Like I said, the fact that he used to be a heavyweight and now he's fighting at middleweight is something itself. He's a heavy-handed guy, big guy, 38 years old. Glad he's got his title shot, but man, it's gonna take a special person to meet Israel Adesanya here, man. And he's good, really good. And he's handled all the competition accordingly, man. His only hiccup is moving up to light heavyweight to fight Bukovic, and he lost. But man, he's cleaned out the middleweight division, man. So till something happens to Izzy, I'm gonna keep siding with Israel Adesanya here to pick up the win. So my picks, guys: Adesanya, Holloway, Strickland, Murphy, O'Malley, Turner, Barberena, Barber, Green, Muniz, Green, Duplessis, and Clark.